Recorded Books and RB Digital present Shotgun Charlie, a Ralph Compton novel by Matthew P. Mayo, narrated by Pete Bradbury. Chapter 1. The dove's throaty growls had startled him at first, made him jump right off the bed. Surely she was in pain, some sort of trouble. A bad dream at best. Then it had occurred to Charlie that no, this was a natural sound, and this was as close as he'd ever come to hearing it. Through a thin lath and plaster wall, mostly covered with paper, still pretty but not nearly so vivid as he was sure it had been a long time since, with tiny pink flowers, roses he thought they might be, surrounded by even tinier green leaves, Charlie finally knew the sounds for what they were. They were the sounds of a man and a woman doing what he was still a stranger to. Would be forever, he guessed. And so big old Charlie Chilton, barely 15 years old, spent the first night he'd ever spent in a town, the first night he'd ever spent in a hotel, the first night he'd ever spent in a bed, an honest-to-goodness spring bed under a cotton-ticking mattress and all, and he spent it mostly awake. He wondered as he was roused again and again from a neck-snapping slumber if he should rap on the wall. He didn't want to invite trouble, but he needed sleep. He felt sure when he checked in that he was about to receive the finest night's sleep a body could get. That the hotel was in the habit of renting out unoccupied rooms for short-term trysts was something that Charlie would not know for a long time to come. But that night's introduction had startled him. All the long days preceding his arrival to town had been one odd surprise after another, saddening and shocking and worrisome. And so this last one, despite his earnest hopes, proved more of the same. This was what the world was like? Not much different from the everyday misery of life on the little rented farm with his gran. He'd hoped for so much more. As he listened to the moans and thumpings and occasional harsh barks of laughter from the men, he hoped that at least his mule Teacup was safe and sound and enjoying a good night's slumber in the livery. It had cost a few coins that he knew he shouldn't have spent, but he'd never indulged in anything in his life, and the money he'd earned at that last farm had burned a hole in his trouser pocket until he'd spent some. Charlie passed some of the long, noisy night by counting out the last of it, searching his pockets over and over again, sure he'd dropped some of the money somewhere along the way. But no, when after long minutes he'd tallied the figures in his head, he had $1.12 left. And he decided then that something had to change. He figured he'd worry about it in the morning, but morning came with little interruption from night by sleep, save for brief snatches.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?